Welcome to David and David on Real Estate. Join us as we explore the ins and outs of the real estate market.
Good morning and welcome to the David and David on Real Estate podcast. We are today on episode 83 and we have a very special guest, the one, the only, the beautiful Kathleen Black. Thank you so much, Kathleen, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and chat with you.
Oh, we're real excited. I like we saved our best for the 83rd episode somehow.
Lucky 83.
But we're really excited to have you with us. You're quite an influencer in the industry and made such a great name for yourself. And anyways, we really feel that you're honoring us by joining us today.
Honoring me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, there's so much going on in the industry, Kathleen. And when we take a look at, your coaching and consulting services, I always say this to everybody: you're the one coach that really stands out, because not only are you so vested in the industry, but you're really vested in the lifestyle, right? In the lifestyle of real estate and living your best life. And a lot of the coaches out there, they're great business coaches, sure, right? But we're all running a business, which is great, but we're all trying to run a business in order to live a better life. And I feel like you're the one person that brings that all together in a complete package. Not only do you teach realtors how to run a great business built on systems by scaling a team, but you also incorporate that into, living your best life, going out there, exploring, loving, just being the best version of you. And to me, that's a complete circle. And that's, that's why we work so hard. We work so hard to enjoy life. We work so hard to, push ourselves to new boundaries, to be a better version of ourselves. And when I look at the work that you do and the life that you live, which is also very important, you're the full package. And that's why I can't wait to really dive deep and unpack some of the things you do and really understand, how others can really learn and really be impacted in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think end of the day, David, what I do is help people shift. And that's why more and more, my focus is on impact. And I think I know to have impact, you need to have connection with a really high number of people. So, I mean, we've moved from really high level, scaling and profitability, production, efficiency at the highest levels I've known, in Canada in the team space, into main national stages and global stages, because I don't just want to talk. I want people to experience shift. I want to experience it, right there in the event center. I'm not talking with you. We're experiencing something together. And, I know the power of shift. And I know there's people watching this who are going through hard things. I mean, right now I'm still going through hard things, right? We're human. There are things that are aggravating right now that I'm like, really, do I really need to be dealing with this? But it's part of walking the walk. And the truth is, like, we can make it as hard or as easy on ourselves as we want. And, in my background right now, it's the garden in Anacapri, which is, the older village at the very top, even above the village, in Capri Island off of Amalfi Coast. And, I was drawn to Amalfi originally because there's a hike called the Path of the Gods. So when I turned 40, I wanted to go and hike the Path of the Gods. Now, compared to some of my other hikes, it's 8 kilometers. It's not crazy, but then you do the 15,000 steps down into Positano, into the beach. But the myth was that, they took Ulysses through the Path of the Gods and then flew them over into these gardens in Anacapri to protect them, right, from people who were, what they saw was enemy energy at the time. But I think it's such a great metaphor of life. I was called to do this walk. That was something that I needed to do because I need to trust and have reverence for our best life and for the visions that we have and the things that we're trying to build, and really trust that those come from a great place. And I know every single one of us, David, David, yourselves, and everyone listening here, you have something calling you right now. And a lot of us have dimmed that down for so long that we're not listening to it, or we don't trust it, or we think it's egotistical. But you have a calling for a reason. And when you stop listening to those little whispers, you miss your ship, right? Like your ship's going to come in. And if you don't get on it, I don't know when the next one's coming. And when you get on one, you end up at the next and the next and the next. So I think live your best life is about trusting, hey, my calling, yes, is in business to be of service. But if I'm not expanding myself as a soul, right, like in this meat suit doing human life, how am I possibly going to expand my business or my family or my community or be of service? You know, when did we stop dreaming and thinking that hustling it out was the best way to live our best lives? I don't know. I don't think the two, don't get me wrong, you have to work hard and hustle for certain periods, but it's to get somewhere. Most people are hustling to stay in the same place. Why? Why? You don't have to carry all that weight, right?
Well, Kathleen, I love listening to you. And that's why I think this is just fabulous that we have you on, because you've got this great enthusiasm. But what I've now learned that we have something in common, because I did the Path of Gods for my 60th birthday and dragged my adult kids with me to do it. And I survived it. Not only did I survive it, but I guided us through we made a wrong turn at one point. So we added about an hour to our adventure through there, but made it through it. But that was, you know, like one of those bucket list type of things to do for anybody that hasn't done that. Like it's unbelievable. It's really an unbelievable thing. And it's spiritually lifting. The fact that you can, what you experience when you go through it, and the fact that you did it afterwards is just something. And that's why you work hard. That's why I work hard, because I wanted to go there and experience that with my kids.
Yeah.
And got to do that.
I love that. And I'm wondering if your wrong turn, anybody who takes it, you can go up further into the highlands, into the mountains on the goat trails, which I really like that path. I've taken that one too. Or you can go lower where there's more stairs, because I think it's like anything. You do it the first time, you're like, oh my goodness, you know, I'm doing this trek. And then I go back the second time on my own. I go there, I go back same day. And then you see the sign, don't hike on your own. I'm like, well, it's too late for that.
It looked like the path was cut off. There was a barricade at one point put, and then there was another path off to the right. So it was like, okay, I guess there's a detour. Something is not safe going for, and it started pulling us back up the mountain. I needed a machete after a while to get through some of this brush. So I realized, no, this can't be right. Let's go back. And it turned out the little barricade was just like, don't step to your left for 2 feet, just go around this barricade and continue on the path. But it was like, that's what, you know, sometimes the misadventures become the greatest part of your adventures. And that's the part we talk about.
So going off the beaten path. Well, I'm looking forward to it, because I have this booked in August for my 40th birthday. So it's on the bucket list and it's happening. So I'm really excited. Just hearing the two of you talk about it is getting me even more excited about going.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
You are going to love it. I don't think I've met a single person who doesn't like Amalfi Coast or Capri. I mean, if they do, sorry, I don't know. We're not the same people, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Kathleen, I think you're absolutely right. We're seeing so many people, you know, get into that same grind every single day, and they can't get out of it, you know, and they don't know how to get out of it. Right. So what are some pieces of advice that you would give somebody like that what can they do? How can they step back? How can they take a breath? How can they re-envision their life and their work-life balance in order to take them out of that mind space, help them shift into something else?
Well, and I think you just hit part of it. I mean, take a step back, take a breath. You know, we're humans and we're working with energy as our fuel. And sometimes we're depleting ourselves so much that we are not at our best, nor could we be at our best. And this idea to, you know, grind yourself into the ground where you're exhausted and you're pushing, but your body is failing, like energetically, it doesn't make sense, right? Like if your energy frequency is high, you can do something with 10 ergs of energy or 20 ergs of energy. When you're tired, it takes you 200 ergs of energy. And we're like, oh, we just have to push through. Sometimes you just have to put it down. And it's important to put it down. And I mean, at the start of this, before David, we were talking about, taking time. Like it took me 10 years to be able to take 6 weeks off every single summer in my business. Some years it was 3 and then 4, and now it's 6. And I take other time because I have on seasons and I have off seasons, and my on seasons. And some of you are, and I'm saying this for a reason, because some of you have been doing this for a long time to get where you are now, but you forgot that you got where you are now. Right? You forgot that 2 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, you were dreaming about being where you are now, and your vision for how to do life right now wasn't the way it looks. Right? So sometimes we have to be, wait a minute, like I need to put this down, go back. Oh yeah. When I got to this point, I said I was going to have a little bit of help. When I got to this point, I said I was going to have more time with my family. Why am I choosing not to allow myself to have that? Why? And what do I need to shift to do it? So I'm a big believer in, hey, it took me a long time to be able to have full on seasons and off seasons, but every time I hustled and grind, or however you want, it was because I knew where I was going. So when I got there, I was like, you better believe I'm taking the time that I worked really hard to have. And sometimes, you feel guilty, and there are people around you who resent it and they're hard on you, but it's like, hey, you can walk the walk here. You can walk the walk here. I can't walk it for you. I can make it easier, but I can't walk it for you. So I think it's 2 things. Are you walking the walk to get where you really want to go? And B, if you're there, are you giving yourself some grace to actually enjoy it and rework your life? Because when you get there, you have to do things differently. You need different people to help you. So A, what are you doing it for? Like, you're telling me life's hard and you're busy and it's hectic. What are you doing it all for? Where are you trying to get to? And then second, once you have that vision, make sure that you have time to recuperate, because if you're a high performer, which, a lot of people who I work with in real estate are, you're really exerting yourself and you need time to reset. Right? That's really important. So David, reflect back. Where am I trying to go? Do I even have a vision anymore? And then am I making those little tweaks so that I'm actually enjoying life? Like, we went through COVID, right? Like, we went through pandemic. Now we have economic crisis. We have, threats, it seems, of world war constantly. And I see people just getting shelter more, and their brains, respectfully, our brains, mine too, I'm not accusing other people, are going, fear, get safer. And the more we do this, the less we dream, the less opportunities we see, the less we learn, the less we're influenced by inspirational people. Like, how do we go through such risk, see such loss, and decide I'm going to have less of a reverence for life? How do you do that? For me, it's like, I want to dance more. I want to live more. People lost their lives. People are struggling economically. People are risking. I'm not going to have reverence for every piece that's beautiful in this life that I get to experience. I'm going to have a million times more. Right? So dream, let yourself live. That's the passion that's going to move you where you want to go. And life's hard, but life's not only hard. It's also beautiful.
Life is beautiful. And I completely agree. I think I think you nailed it, Kathleen. There's so much negativity right now, and every situation around us, right? You're right. COVID was extremely difficult. It was extremely isolating. It changed how we interact with everybody and everything around us, right? And I think people lost sight of how beautiful life is. I think people stopped traveling because people got scared of exploring the world, but the world is so beautiful. There's so many different experiences. There's so many different foods, so many different cultures, so many different places to see. The sun feels different on your face. I am missing my vitamin D. I need more vitamin D to re-energize me and to fuel me and to ignite that passion. So I completely agree. It's like flipping a light switch, right? And I think we all need to do it a little bit more. We all need to be inspired a little bit more. And I think we need to live with purpose, right? What's the purpose of hustling, going into work and, going in every day and getting into a routine? Where does it end? Or what is the end goal?
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm not saying, and I mean, there's phases, right? Where, I've done the, hey, put your head down for 2 years and have 10 years equivalent of growth. I've done it many times. I call it, pinch months or pinch years where it's like I'm doing both roles to get where I want to go. So, I mean, don't hear me wrong. It's not that I don't work hard. I mean, most people around me think I work ridiculously hard and too hard. Even now, that's the honest truth. There are a lot of people who are like, hey, like, what are you still working so hard for? But I think, you know, it has to be going somewhere. That's the difference. Like I think if we think we're just going to grind it out every day and we're going to get where we want to go, like I say it on stage all the time now, like I know too many people who have worked harder than me and never gotten where they wanted to go. Like that's the truth, because you have people sitting there like, oh, you just have to keep working. You just have to be consistent. If you're not on track to go where you're going and you're not making tweaks, you can work as hard as you want. You can get a coach to cheer you on all day, every day. You're still not going to get there. So it's a wake-up call always for all of us, right? What's most important?
Well, it's interesting, you know, talk about mindset, and I can share with you, you know, I struggle with a certain mindset sometimes. And I got through COVID by, fortunately, that like our industry wasn't shut down. So I found it, the best way for me to get through COVID was just being busy. And I was fortunate to be busy and be at my computer. I wasn't in my office dealing with it, but I was right here, you know, in my home office and busy in transactions and people and dealing with my staff and dealing with stuff. And just having that busyness, I thought was good.
Yeah.
And even, you know, pre-COVID, when there's no COVID, just whenever I'm busy and I can get everything done.
Mm-hmm.
The tougher mindset, and I think that some people are struggling with right now, and I know realtors that I'm talking with every day, is the fact that they're not busy right now. It's a tough market. And how do you fill your time? And how do you deal with that when you have too many thoughts during the course of the day of, I'm not that busy. I got time to do, what should I do next? I'm not even sure what to do next. Usually I don't have to think about it. I can't even get the stuff done that I planned that day. I can't even get them done. Now I've got, okay, now what am I going to do? And I'm afraid to take a holiday because I might miss that deal. I don't have 3 deals done already by March, and I'm looking for my first deal this year. So I don't want to go away for a week because maybe that's when I'm going to miss my deal. How do you, like, I find that's a tougher mindset for a lot of people, including myself, to deal with. Like, I'm great when I'm really busy. It's harder when I'm not busy.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, again, you know, do we need to be strategic? Yes. Always we need to be strategic. Do we need to be responsive? Yeah. Responsive includes saying, hey, you know, there's millions of different ways I could think about this and I could respond to this. And I'm leading into this on purpose. Okay. Because those things are absolutely true. Those are not the same thing as going into fear and scarcity. They're not the same. Are there times where I have to be strategic and say, hey, you know what, the next 6 months, I'm going to be very scheduled and I'm going to do what I need to do to win, because every time I make a call and I bring goodwill into the market, into my database, I'm sending energy out. I'm creating enough momentum or energy or confidence to build something bigger. All those little things are just building something bigger. So right now, when we're not busy, well, what do we need to be not busy doing? What do we need to be purposely doing? You know, there's the realtor is going to come in and say, hey, like, if I'm not busy right now, you know what? I come to the office. Maybe your office is at home, here nor there. For me, I when I was selling real estate, it was very important to me to go to the office, and now I do it at home. But you get up, you go to the office, you make your calls, you track your wins. Every time you do something small in the right direction, you build energy and you build integrity, and that builds your confidence. Why is that so important? Because we are in an industry, we are in a world, forget industry, where the higher energy wins. I need my confidence and momentum to be high. So the person who is going into that scarcity and fear, their mind is literally doing this and they're going, oh my gosh, bad things are going to happen. And for them, physically and mentally, that's real. And we have to have compassion and empathy for that as leaders. Like, our bodies are physically experiencing it. It's real. But is it the only potential reality? No. There are other realities where I could say, hey, there are things that I can be doing that are going to be in alignment with where I want to go. And that's going to create energy and confidence. And are we still going to have bad days? Yeah. Is it still going to be hard sometimes? Absolutely. And do the best people fall into fear like hundreds of times a day? Sure, they do. But they bounce back quicker and they call it out. So they're aware, oh, wait, I'm being fearful. Wait, I'm being scarcity driven. Okay, hold on a minute. What's the strategy here? Yeah, I'm not going to take a vacation in the next 6 months because you know what? The cash flow isn't there. So I'm going to be on track. And these are the core things that I can do to service and bring value to the community. Money is value exchange. Most people, when they're not making enough money, are not building themselves up enough to give extra value to the community. You know, we talk a lot, I get asked all the time about imposter syndrome, right? Because people talk about it constantly in the entrepreneurial world. But I mean, there's a shadow side to this, right? Having imposter syndrome is actually really good in some ways, because it says that as a human, I'm questioning, do I have the tools? Do I have the knowledge? The market shifted. Do I need new tools in my toolbox? Are there some I haven't used for a long time? Am I being authentic? Am I legitimate? You know, I'm showing up online every day on my Facebook and on my Instagram, my LinkedIn. I'm here on this podcast. Am I being legitimate, or am I showing up with a front? As people are talking about this market, the pretenders and the performers are being divided. So it's important that we have what I call personal inventory. Say, wait a minute, do I have the credibility? Do I have the skills? Am I showing up authentically? And I hope I forever question if I have enough skills. I have like 20 certifications. I hope I forever go, wait, there's something I need. There's some way I could be of service, because if my energy isn't growing and I'm not able to give more value to the community, I'm not going to make more money or more time or more prosperity or more health, right? Whatever it is you want for yourself. So I think sometimes it's like having grace of saying, okay, wait, I've gone into fear. Okay, wait, what else could be true, and how do I shift myself? And maybe you need to go for a walk or go to the gym, or let yourself have a bad day. There are days where I'm like, tomorrow's a new day. You know what? I'm going to let the day win, but tomorrow I'm starting again. Right.
I love that. I think, you know, people are really hard on themselves, and especially in this industry, you know, being an entrepreneur is not easy. You know, there's a million things. You know, you're a lot. I know you're big on building teams, but a lot of realtors that we see are solopreneurs, where they take on a lot by themselves, and you know, it's easy to get down on yourself. It's easy to say, oh my God, there's still, you know, 10 different things I haven't done. There's this outstanding and that phone call outstanding, and I got to answer these 50 emails. And it's easy to let that take over. Right. It's a lot harder to take a step back, you know, go for a walk, go to the gym, let the day win, say, you know what, it's okay. Tomorrow is a new day. But I think it's about mindset. It's about shifting your mindset. It's about, you know, just taking a breath and saying, you know what, it's going to be okay. I'm going to get through this. Right. It's living with purpose. It's designing that purposeful life. It's having those bigger goals. Like maybe you say, hey, for the next 6 months, I'm not going to go on vacation, because I'm going to purposely work really hard to attain certain goals. And then once I attain and reach those goals, I'm going to give myself a full week off, and I'm not going to take my phone with me, and I'm going to transfer it to, you know, a colleague or another team member, and give myself that break. And you're going to work really hard and let yourself take a week break and turn off and live with purposely until that moment happens.
Absolutely. Or even give yourself an hour off sometimes, right? Or time just to put things down. Like when we're super busy, our brains again are like this. And when you're closed, you don't see opportunities. When you're too busy, that you can't see the opportunities around you because you don't have the capacity for it. Right. So I think it's just, you know, where are we at in our state of mind and growth, and, you know, what can we do to move forward is important. But, you know, I mean, we coach solopreneurs into getting help and leverage, and we help them hire and set up their CRM. And then we coach what we call industry icons, teampreneurs, and then really organizational teams too, right? Who are huge. But the truth at the end of the day is, I mean, this idea of individualistic, you know, self over community, self over country, self over the world or energetics, it's such a myth, you know. And I think there's largely that American dream. And I mean, I believe in the dream, but the idea that we're self-propelled, everything's community-based, like who you're around, your ecosystem, the people who support you. Nobody is a true, even though I use the word too, David, so I'm not knocking, I use it all the time, but nobody is a true solopreneur, nobody's truly, at least right now that are watching this, because they're connected, is truly alone. Like, we have brokerages who support us. We have lawyers who support us. We have home inspectors and mortgage brokers. We have a lot of us personal trainers or fitness places. I mean, right now I'm working with somebody like who's working with my homeopathic medicine, a nutritionist, a chiropractor, like red light therapy. I have a team, I have a pit crew, right, to keep me able with the ability to function. And I think the more I want to do, the more I need more support. It's not the other way, right? I need more people. So, a lot of us, I think we think like, again, let's just work harder and tough it out. But people who are lower mindset, and not as humans, mindset, behaviorally and energetically lower than you, they have more impact on you than you do on them. And is that fair? No. If you are a higher frequency, you have more impact by example, right? That other people who are called to lead better you will impact more people overall. But when you're one-on-one with somebody who's at a low mindset, they're in fear, they're in scarcity, they're critical, they're complaining, they have more influence on you. So if you're allowing those people around you, and that's your community, I don't care how strong you are as an individual, you're going to be brought down. You're going to be drained by that. So, end of the day, like they say, top 5 people. I mean, to me, it's everybody around you. It all counts.
I love that. I love that. So you have to have the right team that has the right mindset, that has the right energy.
Yeah.
And you're right. Everything in life is based on community. There's no I in team, and you need a group of people that will lift you up. Nothing ever was built with one person, doing the work or toughing it out or trying to do it themselves. It's very much a team environment. So who you hang out with absolutely matters and makes a big difference. So, that's also part of it. If you're a realtor and you're struggling, who are you having lunch with? Who are you talking with? Who are you hanging out with? Are you hanging out with 5 realtors that are complaining about where they are in their business? And if you are, then, I think the 3 of us respectfully would suggest, well, you have to find another circle to converse with and hang out with, and go talk to those people who are not complaining, who are actually, extremely productive, right? And ask them what they're doing. Ask if they need a hand. Ask if you can tag along with them for a day. Right. And absorb their energy and learn from them.
Yeah. And who are you watching and absorbing? I mean, sometimes our mentors, right? We don't even meet them, but we're listening to their videos, we're watching their reels, we're seeing their posts. And, again, it's making sure that you're with performers. I know Virginia Mundine talks about this a lot with the buzz, and we do it with Summit, but why we vet people so much, because we're in an industry where there's coaches and mentors, so to speak, on every corner. Are a lot of them doing any business? No, a lot of them aren't. And a lot of them never have. There's amazing coaches who don't sell anymore. If, in my opinion, you're better, I know there's a divide on this one, but when it comes to team expansion, that's a full-time passion. But make sure, right, that you're showing up and doing what you need to do, and that you're emulating people who are not a show, who are legitimate. I think is really, really important for all of us. Not just right now, but always, right? Social media makes it really interesting. So who you're hanging around doesn't just have to be like who we know in person. David, I see your stuff online, and David Korman, David, I'm mixing. I look forward to seeing more, but vetting what we're listening to and who's around us is important. And also vetting, are we getting the skills? Are we humble enough? To get the skills that we need, right? When I decided that I was like, okay, now it's time. We're going to be an international, top keynote experience, right? And I say it's not just me. I went and invested in the best keynote speaking coaches I could find in the world. And that was an investment. It's not nothing. It's a 6-figure investment to build an experience like I have now. And so people see it and they're like, wow, you're on these main stages, you're in Miami. And it's like, but there was a lot that goes into building that. And there were investments that go into building that. It's not like it just showed up, right? You have to have some skin in the game with your time. And the hard is a test. Right. So I always say when it gets hard, it's like, okay, Kathleen, and I want you guys to think about what's hard right now. how much do you want it? Do you really want it? And sometimes I'm thankful, because the hard part of life makes me go, you know what, I don't want that as much as I thought I did. I'm going to put that down. But other stuff, yeah, I'm willing to pay the currency. I'm willing to pay, the tough trek, right? From Bombonero all the way down the 15,000 steps to Positano. I'm willing. I'll invest it. I want to do it. And some people listening on this call, it might be listening to us, David and go, yeah, but maybe you have a great family, or you have a great partner, or, you're connected to great people. And I think it's not always the case for everybody. And that's okay. You can build your own community, right? You can build your own people around you. I remember being at the Women of Influence Awards a couple of years ago, and I noticed, all the people coming up with their speech, they were all thanking, their partner, whether it's a husband, wife, whatever, but talking about, how much they were at home and holding the home base. And I remember just having this little bit of heartbreak at the time, single mother, and being like, wow, like, is it the same thing? Do you have to have somebody at home so like you can do this? And I'm a single mom and my kids are here. And I'm like, is this still the way it is? But I think end of the day, whether it's a partner, whoever's around you, it's a make or break who's in your space. You're better off to have no one in your space than somebody negative, but having amazing people is, for me, I couldn't do what I was doing now with the wrong people around me. It just wouldn't be possible for me. So the point of this, I'm trying not to ramble. The point of this is to say, hey, maybe you weren't given some of these things automatically, but we all have the ability to vet who's in our life, who's in our ear, what we're reading and what we're doing. And I think it's important, and it's not easy, but it makes a big difference for a lot of people and how they evolve in their lives, making those choices about who can be in their space.
Yeah, I look at it like it's an investment, like anything else. I don't think the fact that I've got a great family and great friends is an accident. I don't think I fell into it. I think I earned it. I invested in it. Yeah. I sought these people, to be friends. Like, you target certain people that you're interested in, but you have something in common with them. And whether it's friends, whether it's business associates, my wife, my kids, like I invest heavily in my kids when they were little, put the time in, and now I'm paying the dividends. I got great people to hang out with that love me, and now grandkids. I look at it as an investment, and the same thing on the business side. Like who am I going to work with every day? Who are the clerks? Who are the accounting people? Who's the office manager? Who are the other lawyers? Who's my partner? Like these are not small decisions. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people that you could pick and choose from, and you can make some bad choices along the way. And there's hits and misses too, but I don't look at any of that as an accident. And if anybody's out there thinking I'm just going to fall into it and have a great circle of people around me, like, good luck to you. That, some people might get that. Most of us don't. I think you get what you invested. You invest, you have a chance for better payback.
Absolutely. It's like the thing, when people go to date and you do the wish list, right? Of like, I want this and this and this. And I love doing it because I do it with clients with real estate, but also, we're a holistic company, right? So whatever's going on in life, we're talking about, but you write this wish list of I want this and this and this and the person. And then I always flip it. Okay. So we have this person, we see them clearly. Why would they want to be with you?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And and people are like, what do you mean?
Am I worthy?
Yeah. And it's not to say you're not enough. It's not that at all. It's like, what are we bringing to be of service that those people naturally want to gravitate to us and us to them, which is a beautiful reciprocity, which is exactly what I heard, David, in your example there, right? You're saying I'm giving what will make us both win in these interactions. I think Tony Robbins talked about it when I was there. I did the Firewalker many years ago, but he was saying, hey, if you show up at excellent, you get great. You show up at world class, you get excellent. That's the world we're in right now. You show up at subpar, you get nothing. Like, that's how it works. Like, you can't show up in your relationships at good and get average and think people are going to stay. A lot of people aren't. They're going to leave, right? Which is an interesting perspective. You don't get what you give. You got a little bit less, and that's okay. But like, it's more important, what level are you giving at?
It's so true. And I take a look at the examples you guys gave, and Dave, investing in anything you want in life is so important, right? And a lot of people don't look at it that way, but you're absolutely right. This wasn't done by chance. This was calculated. This was thought out. That, you know, you envisioned a certain life, a certain circle, a certain close circle of friends around you, and you invested the time and gave back, and now you're enjoying the fruits. And Kathleen, like, you know, what you touched on earlier, where, you know, you're a single mother and you heard all these other people come on stage and thank their spouse. You know, I think the lesson there is that anybody can do it. And so many people search for excuses. Oh, but, you know, she has this support, or they came from money, or, you know, they had this opportunity that wasn't given to me. And that's, you know, that's the scarcity mindset. Because I think here in Canada, in this industry, like David Korman and I, we talk about this all the time. I love the industry that we're in, because it's just, you know, seeing the opportunities in front of us, the niches where people can branch off, where they can go with their career, how they can help, how they can be of service is just, it's humbling. It's a humbling experience. You know, who we come into contact with, how we help our clients build wealth and level up and achieve higher levels of success. I mean, it's the ultimate level of service, right? So when I hear the two of you speak about your experiences, about, you know, the abundance of opportunities that were presented in this industry, I'm very thankful for everything that's been given to us.
Yeah, it's a quote in the documentary, because some of you watching this may know, but not know, but there's a documentary called The Relentless One, based on my life. And I always say it's funny, I'm not dead yet, you know, like I feel like people keep saying, well, in the next one, I'm like, next what? You think I'm going to do another documentary? But anyways, Emmy award-winning director M. Douglas Silverstein directed the documentary, which is now toured all over the world, which is great. But one of the lines in it is real estate saved my life. And it's true. You know, I learned to know who I was in real estate. I learned to be independent. I learned that, you know, my gifts could be very positive. I think for some strong women, other industries, or many industries, are very hard on them. Real estate can be too, but you can really thrive in real estate. I mean, it gave me the security, right, to direct my life and direct my family. And I think that that's an amazing opportunity if we're willing to work hard and build this industry. You know, it's small in many ways, right? People say, oh, real estate is so competitive. There's so many agents, but there's only so many full-time agents, and there's only so many agents who are actually investing in getting better, right? It becomes a very small place that can be really supportive if you find the right people around you. So David, I'm the same. I'm very, very thankful for this industry. I don't know where I would have been without it, honestly.
So how did the documentary come about? Like you were approached, or was it something you thought of, or like who, like, give us the background on that?
No, it's a Forrest Gump moment of just like here. And I think I have lots, like there's a card in tarot, and I talk about, actually, it's funny. I have a candle right here. It's, oh, you can't see it because I have the background on, but anyway, it's called the Fool's card. And the Fool's card is basically like, if you knew enough to know what you're really getting into, in some cases, you would just never do it, right? But the documentary came about when I wrote my second book, which is called Relentless to Rise. And that book was really important to me because, first of all, it's my story. It was excruciating to write. I'm not going to lie. I had to go back to times in my life that were very painful, A, but B, I'm not that person anymore. You know, the people in my life at that time are not those people anymore. And that's very delicate, you know, to have, again, reverence for that and respect for that, and how to process it required a lot of support. And as I was writing that book, you know, I made a couple commitments to myself. One, if I'm going to write this book, I'm going to include the hard stuff. And if I'm not writing it. So, I mean, there's definitely some controversial things in that book. And I didn't want to shy away from that because I wanted to share the mess and say, hey, like, we all are messy. Like, it's part of the human experience. And this pain either is going to take us down or it's going to be our fuel to rise. And I choose, with everything that's difficult for me, and sometimes it takes me a while, but I choose to alchemize it and say, hey, like, if this is a 1 erg of negative energy, I'm going to turn it into 1 million positive. And the process of writing that book, I had a team with me, author incubator at the time, Angela Laurier, who's amazing, strong, powerful businesswoman out of Washington. And she knew the director and said, hey, like, have you heard of Kathleen Black? I didn't know any of this, right? And I'd also watched a documentary they had done and commented. And so when the director reached out, honestly, like, I didn't think anything of it. Like, I didn't even know if I was going to reply to the message. I thought maybe it was like a spoof account, you know what I mean? Because there's so many fake accounts. And we ended up just chatting. And I think he came on the call with me thinking, okay, like, maybe there's one cool thing that's happened to her in life. And he's like, you know, I'm like a cat, like, I'm more than 7 lives. And he's like, I can't believe like all of these different things. And don't get me wrong, many people, you know, have been through much worse than me. There are parts of the world where people go through much worse every single day. They're in fear every single day. However, I mean, here, I think, you know, I'm most blessed that people who see the documentary, our most important feedback that I got from a film critic, actually, he said, Kathleen, you know, I see a lot of movies, I have to, like, it's my line of work. And he goes, you know, it's one thing to inspire people, and your movie certainly inspired people. But what stands out for me is that it's not only inspirational, it's aspirational. And we don't see that as much. You want people to shift, like he didn't say shift, that's my language, but you know, you leave that wanting to do better, even if it's a little tiny bit. And to me, like, that really touched me. So it's been an interesting journey. I mean, both of you could think about it. When I ask people, you know, would you want your life in a documentary? Most people say no. And if I had have known what the process would be like for my family, for myself, you know, I could say I don't know if I'd do it again, but the truth is I believe we do things for a reason. But, you know, the reason is to walk with other people. Like that's the true reason. There are times where I walked alone that I really wish I didn't. And I want other people to read it and feel like, okay, she's walking with me. We've been here and there's a brighter path ahead.
Well, it takes a lot of guts to do that too. Because I think everybody, I agree with you, Kevin. I think everybody has a mess at some level, and everybody has a story. And if you can make a documentary of almost anybody, if you really dig down and they opened up, like, you can make, there's a lot, most of us are pretty interesting people, and nobody has a smooth path. But a lot of us are much more private and don't want to bring all that out, because it doesn't get interesting unless you really reveal everything and show your baggage and show all your warts and show the difficulties. And because those are the challenges that you overcome, right? And you hope it's a happy ending at the end of the day, because you're the success story. So you see the rise and the success, but that's what gets inspirational, and that's why people will aspire to do it themselves. So I think, you know, like, kudos to you for putting yourself out there, and because that's going to help other people.
Well, thank you. And I mean, you know, it's a period of time, right? Like, a documentary is kind of like a time capsule in the ground. And I mean, even since then, life has changed, and even that aspect's hard, right? That it's like, well, things have changed. So
obviously.
well, yeah, I mean, for sure. It's going to be coming to Toronto. We're working on that, but we want to have a charity event that, you know, will go to women's shelters. That's important to us. So anyone watching this, if you see it coming, we'd love to have you out, and we're going to have something where all the proceeds go to support people coming out of painful situations, not staying in them, coming out of them.
I agree with both of you guys. I think on the surface, you know, people put on a little bit of a harder exterior, but inside, I think everybody is struggling with something, you know, and this whole idea of vulnerability is pretty new, right? Like, before, it's you can't show any vulnerability, you can't make any mistakes, you have to be perfect, you have to be, you know, square edges and no bumps and no grayscale. But, you know, the world's changing. Right. And it's changing because people want to feel relatable. They want to feel like they're part of something. Right. And Kathleen, I think your story is important, because I think it's so hard to be under the microscope and really be vulnerable on that way. Right. But so many people are going to be helped by this. And so many people hopefully are going to hear your story and be able to relate And hopefully it gets them out of that negativity and helps them shift their mindset, right? And helps them realize how beautiful life can actually be, and gives them that push out of the darkness into the light. And I think that's what today's podcast was all about. So, I mean, what a great way to really, again, go full 360 and close that loop. But you are an inspiration, and not only in the industry, but I think to everybody that kind of comes in touch, in contact with you, and feeds off your energy. And I truly think that everybody struggles with something, right? And it's okay. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to have a bad month. It's not the end of the world. Tomorrow is a new day, and life is beautiful. And that's what we all have to aspire and realize.
Yeah, it's a journey to keep your heart open, right? The more we seek, the more we fall, and the more then we're on the radar. Why do they keep falling? Well, because they keep rising. It's part of it. And it's like, no matter what happens in life, it's, if we can stay, vulnerable and open and humble, we win, right? Like, it's not about what other people think. It's about staying in alignment with ourselves. And I think you're absolutely right, David. The world's changing, it's shifting, leadership's changing, and it's exciting. It's so exciting. All these restrictions, some of us have felt or need to be a certain way. There's just more room, right, to kind of grow and be authentic and see where that falls. And I just think it's such a blessing, and it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I've loved this conversation. So thank you. It's just been refreshing, nice, refreshing flow in a podcast. So thank you for the holding space for that.
Well, and one thing we always like to touch on a little bit in our podcast is just that we're business owners. Yeah. And you've got this great success story of your rise from a real estate agent to morphing into this inspirational speaker. But you've also built an incredible team of speakers and people around you within your own business. Like, your business itself is a success story, aside from your personal success. And I'm sure you spend a lot of time picking and choosing who you're adding to your team. And I know you've got certain people that are sort of geared to certain elements, and like they're not all the same. It's not, you can't get this person, this. No, you've got different people that bring something different to the table. So just want you to maybe elaborate on that a little bit for those that aren't as familiar with your operation.
Yeah, I mean, we want to partner with other people who know their gifts, right? We call it genius. And I know I've talked about, even in my health, right? I need a pit crew. In business, you need an even bigger pit crew. And when you're in high performance, it's kind of like when you're in high altitude. The stakes are high, and you can go from thriving to literally, unfortunately, dying, which is a horrible, rhyme, but in seconds. Like, things shift very, very quickly in high performance. So we need people who are top of their game, when it comes to technology and CRM or messaging or mindset. We have people who are coaches on our team we call the leadership whisperers, and they have multiple certifications and experience and training to be able to help really high level leaders in getting aligned so they can move forward. Because when we get stuck, we're not only stuck, our teams are stuck, our businesses, our organizations are stuck. So we have people who specialize in, training an individual, solopreneur, all the way to team. And I mean, you're not stuck with one expert with us, because you need a pit crew. Some days I need a chiropractor, and other days I need to talk to my naturopath because something is off, right? So we've built a team of, I think they're titans and icons in their own right. They have gifts that just awe and inspire me every single day. And I mean, at this point, we've coached thousands and thousands of people, hundreds and almost probably thousands of top 1% national achievers in different various brands, and people in, Europe and US and all that fun stuff. So, I mean, we're here to support, we're here to model what's possible and expand, so that our ceiling, we never want us to be the cap of our clients. And I always say that, when you're looking for who's going to coach you or guide you, A, do you want to be like them? Do you want to end up where they are? Do you believe in what they believe in? B, are they capping you in any way? Because what they're teaching you is your ceiling. So I never want to be that to somebody. I want us to be as expansive as possible. So it's not me on top, it's a collective, right? That's what we are. We're a community, we're a collective. And some people, you know, call me, say the people who follow you, Kathleen, they're like you, they're the relentless. And I'm like, we are, because we relentlessly want to live and contribute and make the world a better place. And we always hear leaders build other leaders, but leaders are also building the future. And I think we have a responsibility for that. That's way more important than money. Once you have money, it's like, how can you build this world, this industry, this community better? And, you know, are you walking that walk? So, I mean, that's a big part of our community. And I think sometimes people are like, Kathleen, you never talk about what you do. We don't even understand what you do, right? But I think end of the day, all people need to hear is, if you're looking to shift something important in your life and you need a container of support of people who believe in you, are going to help you get there, that's what our community is. That's what we do. Personal, professional, mindset, energy, wellness. That's what we're built to support.
Well, I think those of listeners or people watching that are in the real estate industry, and you know, it's mostly realtors that tune into this. Like, I don't understand why anybody wouldn't be taking advantage of that. We don't have something like you in my profession, in the legal profession. There's nobody, there's been no mentorship of that kind that's available out there to really coach you out how to build a firm, how to run a firm, how to manage your practice, things like that. And there's probably a void there. Maybe you want to fill it, Kathleen, but
it's interesting you say that, David, because we actually, like, my books and the movie and my keynote talk, none of that is real estate specific. I mean, we support people in the mortgage and insurance industries. I mean, we support people. End of the day, we support people. That's what we do. People make everything happen, regardless of AI and technology and all of this other stuff. People matter. They make everything happen, and powering up people is what we do. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I'm known in real estate because we do so much work in that top 1% of the top 1% niche, really. Right. But that's just because those people are willing to go there, right? Imagine what would happen if more people were willing to go there. It's open to them.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great, Kathleen. And I agree with you. People are important, and you know, they're the lifeline of everything. You know, community, people, energy. You know, it's hard to run a business. It's hard to have a brokerage without people. You know, we have a beautiful commercial building, but at the end of the day, without people, it would just be empty walls. It would be nothing, right? Mm-hmm. So I completely agree with you. And you know, to everybody listening, lawyers, business owners, you know, if you want to be the top 1% of the 1%, you know who to call.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, David. This has been such a pleasure.
The pleasure's been all ours. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Kathleen.